And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Stop saying that Whoopi Goldberg getting yanked from The View right after she attacked me on The View is karma. There's no such thing as karma. Sorry. Sorry, but life is random. The only word to describe it when a big game hunter gets trampled by an elephant and then eaten by lions is...
Bill Maher has built his reputation on taking apart woke talking points, and his latest debate put Whoopi Goldberg front and center. Over the years, Goldberg has faced backlash for her bold statements. But this time, Maher didn't just argue, he tore through her reasoning step by step, leaving her with little to counter. The heated back and forth sparked buzz, with many noting Maher's takedown hit harder than anticipated. So what did Goldberg say that stirred such a response? And why did Maher's comeback leave her fans on edge? Here's the full breakdown. 54,776.
Got to get past this endless, unforgiving, zero-tolerance mindset bent on punishing and disappearing anyone caught saying the wrong thing. The right response to speech you don't like is more speech.
The View has clashed again with Maher. Just recently, he locked horns with co-host Sunny Hostin after she tried twisting his words, only for him to shut it down with a sharp rebuttal. Now, rather than moving past that clash, the show looks to be pressing harder. Whoopi Goldberg jumped in this round, seemingly backing her fellow co-host, arriving heated, eager to confront Maher head-on. Yet what unfolded didn't exactly land in her favor.
People can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them.
Well, if he's right, then why didn't people vote for the former prosecutor who actually had policy plans to help the working class?
Whoopi Goldberg fell back on the usual lines, but they didn't resonate. Bill Maher's case was clear-cut. Most black Americans want steady jobs, real economic growth, and fair yet firm policing. Instead of engaging, Goldberg drifted into side remarks about backing a prosecutor and vague pledges to the working class. The trouble was none of it tied together. It came off scattered, like tossing out random remarks hoping one might land. Maher instantly pointed out the flawed logic, refusing to let her dance around the core issue.
Statues of Lincoln and get rid of the police. Just, no, it's not that I've gotten old, it's that your ideas are...
Maher didn't mince words. He flatly stated that Goldberg's reply didn't add up, a pattern critics insist is now standard on The View. The program has always thrived on fiery debates and divisive takes, yet moments like this send it spiraling into a fresh layer of disorder. Both Goldberg and her co-host Sunny Hostin in particular have sparked buzz for their most exaggerated comments. Even guests pick up on the chaos. When Charlemagne the God joined the panel, he seemed more confused than engaged, as if he had wandered into a parallel world where logic and consistency no longer mattered.
Is valid because, Democrats stand on this moral high ground all the time, and, they act so self-righteous. The reality is he didn't have to say anything in regards to, whether or not, his son wanted to be pardoned. He could have said, hey, man, I'm not.
Here's the scenario. President Joe Biden, long known for saying that no one is beyond the reach of justice, issued a pardon for his son, Hunter Biden, after Hunter was convicted on corruption charges. The decision triggered instant outrage. Critics quickly noted the clear hypocrisy. If laws are supposed to treat all equally, why should the president's son walk free? For many, it resembled favoritism rather than fairness. Charlemagne the God stressed this very issue, saying if progressives call for accountability from others, they must hold their own side to the same standard.
I'm going to stop you for a second.
Uh-oh.
Only because you don't know that it was a lie. We don't know why he changed
You
his
really think he just changed his mind over Thanksgiving weekend all
No,
of a sudden?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he changed his mind because he got sick of watching everybody else.
But Whoopi Goldberg wasn't budging. She argued that President Biden never went back on his word when he said no. One was above the law. That defense drew sharp pushback from critics who pointed to countless examples, remarks, interviews, and repeated assurances, where Biden had clearly stated that very point. To them, Whoopi's defense felt less about truth and more about shielding her own side. The nation was built on the idea that America has no kings. Every citizen stands equal before the law. No one is granted special treatment. Watching Goldberg stand by her claim left many viewers scratching their heads. It felt like hearing someone deny the sky is blue on a sunny day. Even Charlemagne looked taken aback, surprised by how far she pushed the argument. Whoopi pressed on, saying Biden might have shifted his view simply out of frustration with constant criticism. That reasoning left Charlemagne silent and stunned.
The nation was founded on the principle that there are no kings in America. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above.
They don't see it that way. Critics argue this is the core issue with the so-called woke movement. They push for accountability only until the mirror faces their own side. When it's one of them, outrage softens and excuses take the lead. Whoopi's defense of Biden was seen as another case of that double standard. But once Bill Maher heard about the exchange, he fired back with one of his sharpest comebacks yet, dismantling both the claim and the hypocrisy in a way that left almost no ground to stand on.
I'm just going to follow the straight and narrow always, because that's what's expected of Democrats.
But that's their fault. They're the ones that go out.
don't-
They're the ones that go out there and they stand on this moral high ground.
The so-called woke movement claims to champion honesty and equality. Yet, when their own contradictions surface, their hypocrisy is hard to miss. Hunter Biden's wrongdoing wasn't up for debate. It was plain as day. Still, because his father holds the presidency, he avoided the punishment others would have faced. For everyday citizens, the penalties would have been immediate and severe. But in his case, influence prevailed and justice was sidelined. Maher exposed it for what it truly was, an absurd charade. His broader argument wasn't only about Hunter. It was about a political order that shields elites while enforcing harsher rules on regular people. And as he stressed, this bias isn't confined to politics. It frequently gains reinforcement from the mainstream press.
Love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit.
Bill Maher. The media's influence over the Hunter Biden saga was undeniable. Leading outlets swiftly branded the claims as mere Russian propaganda. Even as mounting proof surfaced, social platforms silenced opposing opinions. Meanwhile, legacy networks worked hard to shield President Biden from accountability. On The View, Whoopi Goldberg repeated that dismissal, mocking the credibility of the story while standing firmly behind Biden. Maher refused to let it slide. He challenged her outright, accusing her of protecting those in power rather than pursuing honesty, and highlighted the glaring double standard in how the controversy was handled.
To bury the Hunter Biden.
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, we can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I mean,
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
The View has turned into a clear case of how real debate can be twisted by ideology. Rather than fostering genuine dialogue, the mood often comes across as combative, dismissive, and focused on silencing any stance that doesn't match their own. Whoopi Goldberg, in particular, is known for waving off differing opinions with a tone that implies they aren't worth real attention. Maher challenged that behavior directly, pointing out that it isn't true advocacy, but rather bullying wrapped in the language of virtue. That's why he continues to be such a constant irritant to the show. For many in the audience, his sharp remarks feel like a rare moment of straight talk in a space usually dominated by one perspective.
was handled.
Of any matters of politics or what's right or wrong, the one thing I know for sure about America is this. It's run by mean girls. Mean girls in the press and in politics and in life. And when they smell blood in the water, the lust to finish off a vulnerable person will never be denied.
For Maher,